What's up YouTube, Dale here from Zephyr, and today I am bringing you another budget updated profile, and this time it is going to be Fire King Snake Eyes. Now, fortunately, because of the reprints in the Rarity Collection 3, or Bonanza, we've actually had the ability to put Snake Eyes, mainly the Witch, Wanted, and everything else, into this deck on a much cheaper budget. The deck is incredibly competitive, very, very powerful, very, very aggressive, and it costs as little as about £100 depending on where you're able to get all the cards from, and it could rise up to about 150 depending on if you're picking up the individual singles from all over the place. That being said, the deck is probably one of the best competitive decks you can build right now without breaking the bank, and if you were to go full power all out in the meta right now, you're probably going to be looking at a deck becoming about £1,000 when you start taking into account stuff like Flourishes and Dominus Impulses and everything else in between. So this is a nice cheap budget alternative that will do incredibly well once you learn the combo routes and everything else behind it. It will definitely give you a very nice aggressive route that allows you to play through a certain line of hand traps as well. So with all of that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell and subscribe so you don't miss out on any more upcoming content. Diving headfirst into the profile, starting off with the Fire Kings, we are playing triple Fire King High Avatar Kirin. Now I think this is probably like the best card for the entire deck because it gives you the ability to dodge targeted effects, it gives you the ability to destroy, and it also gives you the ability one revived as well. So it gives you so much capabilities, it gives you the ability of hand trap interaction, you can recycle it from the graveyard so it can be utilized during your opponent's turn as well. And then the fact of the matter is it lets you revive from the graveyard, it lets you destroy cards, it's incredible as a very aggressive monster as well. We're backing this up with two Sacred Fire King Garunics and of course one of the original High Avatar Garunics. The idea behind this, and we are using Volcanics, but we're only going to be able to use one copy in this particular build to keep the cost to a minimum. The idea is that off of the back of the Volcanics you can then instantly set up a rank 8 play because your Garunics will destroy the Volcanics in the deck, triggering the effect to summon out the Garunics, and that's your rank 8 play that will allow you to protect yourself from cards like Nibiru or just kind of hunt out any particular monster effects your opponent might want to try and activate. Or you can go on the other side and you can go a bit more aggressive and go down the Garunics Eternity route to get you a board wipe. You can also work yourself down a Ding route to give you protection or ascend. And there's just so many different options that this kind of facilitates. It's crazy good. We're then playing two Ponics. Now, depending on how far you want to go down the Snake Eyes route, you can actually cut the Ponics down to 1. It's currently a 42 card deck, so you can cut this down to 1 if you wanted to try and get more to that 40. But the idea is I've tried to keep this more Fire King focused than Snake Eyes focused, so you get a bit more of a balance rather than being able to utilize yourself on an engine that may get further hits in the upcoming ban list as well. We're going to be backing this up with one Ragbarley, one Avatar, and one Barong. Now, the Ragbarley is another one of them cards that you might choose to side out or just not play. I just quite like the idea of being able to play ones of each of these because you've got your Monster Negator, you've got your Spell and Trap Negator, and then of course you've got your General Searcher, which gives you the ability to recycle during the standby phase. Now, more times than not, what you're going to be doing is you're actually going to be destroying your Volcanics now, which is your more common card. And I would probably say if you can get hold of two Volcanicses, then play two Volcanics instead of a Barong. But again, I just like the variation that if I do hard open up a Volcanics, this can be my normal summon, and then Barong can be the card that I destroy in the deck with the Garunics, and it gives you loads of different versatility. This is probably the single most expensive card in the main deck, but even then, it currently runs at about £12 here in the UK on eBay, so you should be able to pick it up from anywhere between $10 to $15, depending on where you're looking at, and if you've got a good friend that just pulls one at locals and doesn't want it. So you can very easily trade into it, but if we're just going for all-out cash value, this is probably going to be the one that will cost you the most, but even then, it's a definite one-of at the very least. If you can play more, you can do, and it might shift up the strategy and the versatility of the deck, but honestly, one is what you can get away with. For the rest of the Fire King cards, we've got the one Island and the one Sanctuary, backed up by the one Circle and the one Skyburn. These are other cards that some people might consider to side out or just not play in general. It really is up to you. I just quite like the idea of Circle giving me that ability to trigger off my Fire King effects while also getting me a different fire monster to the board. Helps me out in the grind game and can also help you with targeted effects. And then Skyburn also can help you out with targeted effects, but also gives you the ability to destroy your cards and your opponent cards, which can be a very nice aggressive option. The one that bridges between the two of Poplar and of course the Snake Eye cards is 1-for-1. Insanely powerful card. There is a reason that it is at 1, and the ability to get you access to your Ponics should you want it, or get you access to your Snake Eyes engine should you want it, is just too invaluable not to play. Moving on to the most expensive engine in the deck, and that is of course the Diabell, Bonfire, and Wanted engine. Each of these can sit between £5 to £7 per copy, so about $7 depending on where you're picking them up from and how many you're picking up in one go. Now these are the beneficial ones of course the Rarity Collection 3 or Bonanza, because the idea is that you're able to get these all in that set, and that set was very widely opened. I know a lot of times that you can get these in different rarities. I was able to pick up some ultimate rares off of Tier 0 games for about £7 a copy. After discount code becomes a little bit cheaper, but the idea is that if you wanted to get this entire engine, you're probably looking at anywhere from 20, 40, 60 £60 investment, which is crazy, but it is absolutely necessary. You could, if you want to, play these a little bit less. If you are fearful of the upcoming ban list, you could very easily play 2 Deerbells and 2 Wanted. You are going to be hurting your consistency, but if you're trying to keep the cost down, what you would do is you replace those particular cards that are about £7 a copy to something that is a lot cheaper, something like a Pot of Prosperity, which gets you the same job, just a little bit different, a little bit more sacrificial from the extra deck. Continuing on the engine, we do play, of course, the 1 original Sinful Spoils. Technically like a 1-for-1, as it does still bridge your 2 engines. It gets you your Wanted, can work your way into your Ponyx, or of course, it can work you into your Snake Eyes. For the Snake Eyes monsters, of course, we are playing the 1 Flamberge, backed up by the 1 Deerbell, and then your Ash, Poplar, and Oak. Obviously, all of these are insanely important for the deck. This is what makes it the Snake Eyes capability of it. It gives it a bit more versatility, it gives it a bit more aggression, it gives it a bit more recyclability. It's absolutely insane to be able to play this engine. Poplar gives you another way to get you to your Sinful Spoils, and it can also get you to the Divine Temple. You don't have to play the Divine Temple and you don't have to play the Deerbell, so they are 2 more cards that you can sacrifice depending on the playstyle you want to go with. I quite like this as an alternative option to help me get the Deerbell, which gives me an additional fire monster on the board, and it can also make all of my level 1s a lot stronger, so it can make these little mini boss monsters at 1900 attack swinging into your opponent, which can be quite damaging. Then for the hand traps, we are playing triple Ash Blossom and triple Imperm, and I personally like to back this all up with triple Droplet just so that I have an option for going second. Now you can adapt your hand trap lineup as and when you see fit. Like I said, if you wanted to trim the fat a little bit and kind of cut down some of the cards that you can and cannot play at 1s or 2s and however you want to, so like cut down the Ponyx to 1, cut out the Rag Barley, that's when you can start adding in more hand traps. If you wanted to decide to main deck Draw and Lockbird, if you wanted to main deck anything like a Ghost Bell, Ghost Mourner, Veilers, you name it, you have a lot of flexibility. This is just giving you a baseline build to work off the back of, and then you'd adapt it to your local environment to as what fits best, and then you'd also adapt it to your personal play style. But just having the hybrid of the 2 of the Snake Eyes and the Fire Kings is absolutely insane, especially when you're able to build it on a budget and not need to worry about stuff like Deceptions being £40 a copy. Moving on to the extra deck. So for the extra deck, our rank 8s, we are playing the 1 Grunix Eternity. Just a great option for going second as a nice board aggressor. I also do like still playing the option of Ding Girsu, the idea of being able to protect my board if my opponent tries to kill my Fire King Island and then destroy it, as well as the ability of being able to non-target send can be near invaluable. We've then got the 1 Zombie Vampire. Now what makes this really good is it's generic rank 8, and then it gives you that ability, once you overlay the 2 Grunix, to detach the Grunix, put it back in the graveyard, and then mill 4 cards from your deck and your opponent's deck to then hopefully work you into something like a Snake Eyes or work you into another Fire King, bring it back to the board, and you're able to build up from the back of there. The last rank 8, which is probably the most expensive in the extra deck right now, is the number 90 Galaxy Eyes Photon Lord. This is your budget alternatives to playing the Deception engine with the Azaminas. The idea is, again, with the 2 Grunixes, you overlay both of these into the Galaxy Photon Lord, and this gives you the ability to kind of sniff out a Nibiru or any particular monster effect your opponent might try to activate. You can sub this out if you wanted to for the number 38 Galaxy Hope Harbinger, and the idea behind that is it just gives you a spell negate instead. And then for the Link monsters, which is pretty much where this deck is going to thrive the most, we are playing the 1 Relinquish Anima, backed up by the 1 Nightmare Phoenix, Heater, the Fire Charmer, Dark, the Dark Charmer, wherever it may be. There we go. IP Masquerena leading you into SP Little Knight, and then of course you do have a Sunlight Wolf. So the idea behind Sunlight Wolf is this gives you the ability to recycle some of your fire cards, whether that be an Ash Blossom to be able to be utilised during your opponent's turn, whether it be a Kirin that you can then utilise during your opponent's turn as well. It gives you that ability to be very, very aggressive and gives you that ability to pretty much kind of put your opponent under a bit more pressure as you've moved into the grind game. Then for the final Link monsters, of course, we are playing the 1 Perinthian Princess, which works its way into the Ambler Whale. And this just, again, gives you another form of aggressive options. As you work your way up into this, whether you go through Heater or mainly if you go through Sunlight Wolf, you can add back the Kirin, work your way into Princess. Princess brings 1 back, works into Amber Whale, and then straight away you've got a Kirin to pop your Amber Whale during your opponent's turn, summon the Kirin, and then once your opponent summons a monster again as well, you can go Perinthian Princess, pop the Kirin, and then summon the Kirin back. Pop the Kirin, and then pop another one and bring back another Fire King from the grave. Then for the final aggressive option, we do have Selene into Access Code. The idea behind this is as you're making your way into Access Code, you'll be able to set up a fire in the graveyard, a dark in the graveyard, and possibly even a light in the graveyard, which is going to give you the ability to pop 3, if not at least pop 2, and then give your Access Code a nice little 3k buff. So all of these are a lot cheaper thanks to the most recent Rarity Collections, and I do honestly believe that Rarity Collections is probably one of the best products that Konami has ever printed, just because of how highly accessible some of those reprinted cards are. Rarity Collection 3 probably being a little bit more lapsical for the nostalgia cards, but you know, that is what it is. That is pretty much it for the entire profile though. Kept on a very tidy budget, giving you a couple of options depending on what your playstyle is, how you want to take it, and how you'd want to play around with it. I do think the Fire Kings are very, very good. It's probably, I mean, I would like to say it's the best structure deck we received this year, but we actually didn't receive a structure deck this year. We received it in December last year. So it's definitely the best structure deck we've received recently, I guess, until Blue Eyes in February, and maybe that might change it. But Fire Kings are still very, very powerful. I love the option that it can be played pure, it can play Snake Eyes, and then of course you can chuck in some other fire engines should you want to, just to kind of give it another aggressive option. But that is pretty much it for the profile. If you do have any questions at all, by all means, please put in the comments down below. I will be more than happy to answer them as always. But for now, stay safe, and of course, happy dueling.